in a spirit of humility, yet in determination. Oh, we thank you right now that you're here and that everything that goes on in this program that you will be pleased with. We thank you for the next part of his life, his family, and that you would truly bless him. In the mighty name of Jesus, let us all say, amen.
Thank you, Dr. Dent. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. On behalf of our host, Major General Michael Weir, Deputy Commanding General, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a few of the many distinguished visitors joining us today. On our program today, Dr. Beth Fleming, ERDIC Deputy Director, representing ERDIC Director Dr. David Pittman, who was unable to be here today, ERDIC Commander Colonel Brian Green. From our universities and other partners, Dr. Roger King, retired CAF Center Director at Mississippi State University, other Mississippi State colleagues and staff, Mr. Tom Pagone, retired Chief Technology Officer for U.S. Army Cyber Command, from USA's headquarters and our other Corps offices, Ms. Yasmin Saya Sanubria, Director of Civil Works, Office of Homeland Security. I also want to welcome our Corps and other ERDIC leadership and family, as well as many distinguished members of the Senior Executive Service and General Officers, both active and retired. Dr. Jeff Holland, retired ERDIC Director, Dr. James Houston, retired ERDIC Director and Director Emeritus, and his wife, Fran, Dr. John Cullinane, retired ERDIC Deputy Director, our ERDIC Lab Directors, Dr. Ilker Adakazel, Mr. Bart Durst, Mr. Jeff Eckstein, Dr. Joe Fontanella, Dr. Kumar Toperdurty, and Dr. Joe Corvo. Colonel Green's wife, Yana. Our employees in Alexander, Hanover, and Champaign, we welcome you virtually. Most importantly, I want to welcome the Mosher family. Dr. Mosher is joined today by his wife of 40 years, Loanne, his son Mark, who is working on his PhD in biomedical engineering at Mississippi State, making his dad very proud, no doubt, and Mark's guest, Maggie Eves. Today, we not only honor Dr. Mosher for his 40 years of service, but we also honor his family for their enduring love and commitment to him. It would be impossible for any Army leader to be successful in 4 decades of service without the support of a loving family and the sacrifices they make on a regular basis for him to serve our nation. To the Mosher family, we thank you for all you have done. You have also served. Of course, we also want to welcome the many personal friends and coworkers of Dr. Mosher. Thanks for taking time from your busy schedules to be here with us today. We are honored by your presence. Please join me in extending a warm USA's welcome to all of our very special guests. At this time, I'd like to turn the podium over to ERDIC's Deputy Director, Dr. Beth Fleming.
Thank you, Patty. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to represent Dr. Pittman. I cannot tell you how disappointed he was not to be able to be here. And so he's here in spirit. I know that he's thinking about us and the celebration that we're having with Reed and his family. I also want to do a special shout out. I just noticed Dr. Whalen is here as well, and I know he's really special to Reed, so we missed you in that opening, and welcome to him. What I want to do, I'm going to deviate. I don't know where Debbie Quimby is, but she's probably going, oh my goodness, because she wrote me these wonderful remarks, and she knew I would do this, but and that's okay, because I just pulled the pieces and parts that I wanted to, that she pulled together, information on Reed. And just wanted to reflect on him, and I think I speak for all of my colleagues and those that have worked with Reed when I describe what he has meant to me personally, meant to all his friends and colleagues, meant to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the ERDIC, the Army, the DOD, the nation, and also the world. And I mean that in all sincerity. And I think as I step through all the things that he's done, you're going to see the connectivity of all of that, and you're going to see how he has made such a difference. In true Reed spirit, I'm going to challenge you at the end of this So I want you to be prepared for that challenge, because that is one characteristic of Reed, is he likes to challenge. And I think that's a great quality, considering that I think I have it too. So maybe we both think we're great in that. But I just want to tell you a little bit about what Dr. Mosher has meant in all of those different levels. And to me, in thinking about him, he is a leader that leads at the T. And some of you who have been SES or general officers for a long time will know what that means, and I'm going to tell you what that means in just a little bit. But he leads at the top of the T, and to me, he's top dog. And if you know, one of the things we have in common is we're both bulldogs. I wore my maroon today. So some of the things about Reed that I think really make him unique is he loves tough challenges. I mean, stuff that other people would run from and don't want any part of, he's all up in the middle of it. He's continuously learning. He's always challenging himself to know more and understand more so that he can exert greater and higher leadership. He is customer-oriented. I mean, every other word when we go into BOD is the customers and what they need and what their next future challenges are going to be. And I want to talk to you about his legacy, what he leaves behind. Now, some may think of numbers and ITL and things like that, but I'm telling you it's bigger than that. So I want to cover that a little bit. So in doing this, I'm going to talk to you about what that Level T leadership is, talk a little bit about Reed's past, and then his more recent career, and then talk to you about his legacy. So if you think of a Level T, what does a T look like? It's got the bar that goes across, and then it's got the bar that goes down. And one of our commanding generals, General Strock, talked to us about Level T leadership, and he challenged his SES and general officers a few years ago to exert Level T leadership. And what does that mean? So the bottom of the T is kind of that vertical piece. And I think that's a piece that ERDIC is really good at. Naturally, we're all very good at our particular areas. You know, you really know your stuff no matter what position you're in. Admin, researcher, whatever, or MIO, whatever it is. But the real challenge that, to me, Reed has mastered is that crossbar, that horizontal piece. And that is hard because it requires understanding of all the other pieces across the ERDIC and understanding of how you fit into it or how you can do something bigger. So that whole T is the type of leader that to me, Reed is. What does that mean to you as a part of the ERDIC? It means that he has brought great opportunities to us because in his leadership and by leading by example, he has shown us how to operate at a Level T horizontal bar. And that's where the ERDIC was challenged to go not too long ago. And he was one of those key leaders that brought us to where we are today. So I want to give you some examples that are kind of reflective of his past. So he's been working for 40 years, been married to Loanne for 40 years, brought her here, and they've been here ever since. He probably thought, well, this will be a short tour, and then here you go. You're here for a long time. We kind of suck you in that way. But, there are so many things that he has done, and he has mastered the ability that I think is really unique of leveraging military and civil works. Most of us within the ERDIC are oftentimes very good and brilliant at military or civil works, not A-N-D. He's also been very capable of addressing very complex problems, which is what we bring at the ERDIC and what comes to us. He is one of the first people, by the way, he's got a lot of firsts, and some of my firsts involve Reed, and I'll get to that a little bit later. He's probably like, oh no, where's this going? He was one of the first, if not the first, person to be promoted to a DB6, and that's a GS-16 equivalent. So, all throughout his career, he's had wonderful accomplishments. But one of the things I want to point out to him, and this resonates with Debbie, is he's kind of like the Atlas at ERDIC. And when you think of Atlas, they've got this big globe on the back, and he's lifting the whole world. Well, that's kind of what Reed has done, and some of you are smiling because you know it's true. But he's had so many accomplishments and served in so many roles. And oftentimes we're dual-hatted. Well, he's got a bunch of hats. He's been the ERDIC's Chief Information Officer, the SES over DOD's High Performance Computing Modernization Program, and he's also been appointed by DOD as the Defense Research and Engineering Network Official, or DREN, which is, how we operate on our computers in the system that we use. But a big role to me in his leadership is the role that he's exerted with the board of directors and all the laboratory directors and Colonel Green in trying to shape where the ERDIC goes. And he's had such a great role and pushed us and encouraged all of us to exert leadership on behalf of our organization. But I want to tell you just a little bit about the piece about tough challenges and what he has accomplished and what he's worked on. And so some of those would be things like the Olmsted Lock and Dam, which is, at that time, the R&D he did in that area was one of the biggest projects that the Corps of Engineers, had ever funded in R&D. Incredible. Reed ran right to it. Any kind of challenge, he's just like a moth drawn to a flame. Innovative work that he did on the Khobar Towers. Now, I was looking at that last night. That looks like a pretty good place to be in Saudi Arabia. Looks pretty. I don't know. It could be kind of scary. He's like, yeah, you think so, but it wasn't really. But he's always involved in some of the toughest things that we do. So, for example, the World Trade Center in '93, in the first bomb attacks, he climbed up in a parking garage and was all up in that trying to figure out, what were the impacts of the explosives and trying to model that using the latest cutting-edge science and technology to do that. He's also, and get ready back there in the back, this is when, they're like, where is she going? They're trying to figure out where I'm going with the script. But he was very important in the Pentagon and how we retrofitted the Pentagon prior to the disaster that occurred there when the planes flew in. Reed did a lot of that work, which actually saved people's lives, and that's a key component of what Reed has contributed. So with that, why don't we just show people a little bit about that, and let's hope the video works. Anytime I'm involved with video, it usually goes, meow. And that would mean that I would have to act it out if it doesn't.
But there is an easier way. The Corps of Engineers is making a science of terror, setting off its own bombs. This is the first time the public has been allowed to see the Corps' counterterrorism work at its research center in Mississippi. Reed Mosher is the technical director for survivability. On this day, Mosher's team is testing a common interior wall, particle board, steel wall studs, and sheetrock. It's set in a steel frame with instruments inside.
Can we have a look?
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's close in here. So this is the other side of the wall we were just looking at.
Correct.
This would be the interior of the building.
Right. We're armed, ready to go.
Once the area is all clear, they set off a bomb. Inside, the destruction is captured in slow motion. They've done hundreds of these tests to create new kinds of building materials. For example, watch what happens to this concrete wall. Now look at the same kind of wall after it's been sprayed with a new plastic coating. The Corps of Engineers runs these experiments through its supercomputer center, one of the most powerful in the nation. The computer can test various kinds of bombs against different buildings without breaking any glass.
It's not just a pretty movie, it's an actual calculation.
In a special 3D imaging room, Mosher showed us how the supercomputer recreates the blast wave at Khobar Towers and predicts the path of every shard of glass from a single breaking window.
Just reach up and pick them out.
These studies have helped create a new generation of window that can stand up to tremendous force. This experiment shows how those new windows can be fitted into an old building.
So the window is strapped in. It's like a seatbelt.
Seatbelt, right. That's a good way to explain it.
And it pops out a couple of feet, looks like, and stops.
Stops, exactly.
Already the new Pentagon is rising. These steel rods that will support the new columns are being sunk into the same old pilings. September 11th will always be an essential date for the Pentagon. It was September 11th, 1941, that ground was broken for the building. And on September 11th, 2002, they intend to open the new section.
What's it going to look like when you have it finished?
You know what it looked like before?
Yeah?
That's what it's going to look like again. Exactly.
They're already pulling the limestone out of the same Indiana quarry of 60 years ago. In Mississippi, the supercomputers are analyzing the September 11th attack to improve the defenses even more. And John Yates has already been told that he will be moving back into the very same office.
It's a testament to the work that the people in the renovation did and the engineers. And, you know, if it hadn't been done, if there'd been no structural hardening, I can't imagine what the death and destruction would be. It would have been more catastrophic than what it is. 10 times, 100 times worse.
And you would have been in that number.
Yeah. I don't ask why anymore. I just say thank you.
We won't. We're going to keep going because there's more. And who can say that they've done that much? That's hard to imagine. And Reed's next challenge, Hurricane Katrina, you know, after that terrible disaster, and him being part of that team and informing the design decisions that all of our ENC people, engineering and construction people, had to think about to inform how do we come back after that disaster and do it better. And he was all into that. And every one of these challenges that you saw and the one you just saw all involved heavy engagement with customers, helping customers succeed, understanding what the challenges are, understanding not just what his area was, but all of the areas were to put all those complex pieces together. And what I've heard him say more than once, many, many, many sleepless nights and hours on end of working towards making a difference. Okay, so congratulations, Reed. So today, if we think about Reed and what he's doing now, he has been the lead for the High Performance Computing Modernization Program. He's got all these hats. He started a brand new, in Reed tradition, I mean, still working right up till, you know, traveling and doing the things he always does. Right up to today, but he started a new business area, the Engineered Resilient Systems. He's a coalition builder. He has built coalitions across the board of directors and all the way across the Arctic. And he's a team builder. An example of that is how he appreciates diversity in the organization, and he's been our point of contact for Jackson State University and exerted leadership to ensure that we're building diversity into our workforce, and has gotten, I think, 40% of the contracts to HBCUs for the Arctic, which is a big accomplishment as well. So now I want to lead you to Reed's legacy. And so there were some things out there about Reed and what his legacy is that involve ITL and you know, just huge amounts, 108% growth in the numbers of hires. That's incredible. I think he could hire the 800 people by himself that we committed to hire over time. That's just amazing. Also, the facility that we're in. You know, this 60,000 square foot facility will be enjoyed for years after Reed has retired today. And he has done lots of things, different types of things for ITL. But I would say to you that the biggest legacy is that leadership at the T, and that is your challenge. I'm challenging you to lead like Reed, and that's a good thought to stick in your head. Lead like Reed and that leadership at the T. That not only understanding your silo, if you will, but understanding how that works all the way across. Now I want to leave you with some funny thoughts about some commonalities I had with Reed. I just have to share some things about what we have in common. But when he was using explosives, I was cleaning them up. So I've been cleaning up after Reed for a long time. You know, he's blowing up things, and then I have to go out there and clean it up in my hazardous suit. We both love the dogs, and so I know that I'll see him a lot more when we go to Mississippi State. He involved some firsts for me that I never thought. I don't think I would have ever gotten to do this. And one of those was my first ride in a fire truck. I'll let you guess why that was. And he was not sitting up front like I was. He was in the back, all the way in the back. He also was the first person that I ever pushed through the airport, and so this is a tip for you in a wheelchair. Me pushing Reed in a wheelchair, and people were like, how are you going to do that? I said, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're getting out of here. Let me tell you, if you're ever late for your flight and you want to delay, get somebody to sit in a wheelchair. And I said, that plane is not leaving. I told him, I said, you wait on us. This man is ill. We have got to be on that plane. And they could tell by the look in my eyes, right, Debbie? We're getting on this plane. Also, I think an impression I made on Reed the first time, one of the first times we were at TDY, and I go down to the breakfast to eat, and I said, oh, there's my colleague. And I didn't really know Reed quite as well then. But we're sitting there eating, and I'm eating a big breakfast. And I said, you know, Reed, I grew up on a farm. I really like meat and potatoes. And, you know, so we both had these plates piled high. And he was shocked. He said, you do like meat and potatoes? He couldn't believe. He said, where are you putting all of that? Seriously, we're passionate about the future of BOD and the future of ERDIC and the nation and all of the things that I outlined for you. We both share that passion, and he shares all that with our colleagues. We've had many, I would say, animated conversations. It's kind of like a sister-brother type thing, but then we take care of each other on the backside of that. So I appreciate the way Reed has contributed to our team and very much appreciate his contributions. And please join me in thanking him again. Now what we're going to do, Dr. Pittman would like to say a word virtually. So if we're ready for that, okay.
Hello, Reed, and congratulations on your big day. I mean, this is your day. This is your celebration of a brilliant life and career, over 40 years with the Army Corps of Engineers and the Waterways Experiment Station and the ERDIC. And I just want to congratulate you on an outstanding career. I mean, there's so many things you've done. I mean, when you look at all the technologies you've come up with, protecting the warfighter, protecting the nation, saved probably more lives than anybody that I know out there. From Cobar Towers to 9/11 with the technology you guys developed to protect the walls of Pentagon and many more buildings after that. And then when Hurricane Katrina hit, I mean, you raised your hand. You ran to the sound of the guns, and one of the hand-picked experts. You volunteered to help figure out what happened after Hurricane Katrina. And that's kind of been you. If I've known you for 20 years, that's what you do. You run to the sound of the guns. I remember when I first met you, I just started at the ERDIC, Waterways Experiment Station in the mid-'80s. You were teaching a class on soil structure interaction, and I was working on my master's degree, you were working on your PhD, and I remember thinking, that's one smart guy. And then later, we both became division chiefs. You were division chief in the structures lab, I was in geotech lab, and we were going to combine the two laboratories. So you and I and a whole lot of other people worked together to combine those two laboratories, and my respect for you just grew. I mean, you, to me, epitomize what a professional is, really, in the Army Corps of Engineers. But it wasn't just what you did. To me, it was how you did it. I mean, you're the consummate professional, technical expertise, world class, and how you treated people. You always built the team. It didn't matter what the boundaries were. You just said, to heck with it. Let's get the right people working on this. And you never went the easy way. You went the right way. No matter how hard it was, you did it the right way. You took the time and the effort to do that. And you mentored so many people, including me, by the way. I learned a whole lot from you, and I respect you immensely for that. So I'm going to miss you tremendously. I think the whole ERDIC will, the Corps will, in the DOD. And just thank you for all of that. And I want to say, hey, this next chapter of your life, I hope it's the longest, the healthiest, and the most fulfilling chapter of your life. And don't forget about me and lunch. Come back and let's go eat some Subway or Chick-fil-A or whatever gumbo that day. Please come back and see us. And good luck, good health, and thank you.
hybriding the military and civilian components together to come up with amazing research. And today, as the commander, I'm getting to represent the people, the researchers, the soldiers, civilians, and airmen. And I am going to start off with the first thing. I'm going to ask you to join me in another round of applause here in a second. But, you know, the labs here, and in this particular case, Reed and his team are an unsung hero. Excuse me for a second. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this team. I've been in equipment and vehicles that survived the blast effects. And on behalf of every airman, soldier, sailor, Marine, Department of Army civilian at the Pentagon, I want to say thank you. Okay, now a little bit on the lighter side. Again, I'm speaking on behalf of the people of Erdek that he has impacted. I'm going to talk about a leadership component here that most of you may or may not know, and I'm hoping that you leave here with a couple things that he did that will be memorable through time memorable. The first thing I want to say about Reed is Reed's leadership was able to create this building. And if you don't know, this is about as Google-esque as you can get making a federal building. The only thing that Reed was not able to get in this building was the Starbucks, but he tried. Reed has had this amazing ability to pull his team together, integrate cultures of so many different technical challenges, so many diverse viewpoints, and so many different generations. You know, in this particular lab, he has the young millennials, who their entire favorite thing to do is to use the high-performance computing to basically play video games in the evening and run Overwatch tournaments, if you know what that is. At the same time, though, he is able to pull in the entire breadth of folks that started here with the Army Computing Lab. People always ask, how did the Corps of Engineers end up with the Information Technology Lab? It goes back as far as machine-based computers solving problems for the Manhattan Project and the Peacekeeper Missile Program, and Reed has been able to merge all those things together. So when he pulls these teams together through these most amazing town halls, where he invigorates the community with a sense of innovation, a sense of motivation, a sense of empowerment, he is always famous, or perhaps infamous, for his ability to coin a phrase. And if you've never ever seen him talk about the impact that he can have at Erdek, I'd like to point these out. Reed, if you'd just be so kind for 1 second. So, trying to motivate his folks and trying to pull collaboration together, Reed is so brave as a leader, standing up in front and leading the way. He held a Comic-Con costume contest, and he represented the Hawk. And Reed, would you do the innovate? Now, I am going to tell you one other story that he did. As you know, you heard Dr. Fleming talk about Mississippi State. So I come in one day and I see there's a power spike on the station. My job is to make sure this high-performance computer never runs out of power, but I got this huge spike. Technically, we blow the entire Corps of Engineers' energy budget and all of our carbon credits right here at this one spot. Every month, General Weir actually beats me up at the key performance indicators. Why are we over on our utility usage? So I double-checked this. I found out that Reed was running his own individual experiment to determine whether or not there is any truth to the hypothesis that there's never too much cowbell. Based on the results of that experiment, I believe you got a couple very nice gifts today from Mississippi State, and I'll let that stay for the luncheon. The last item I want to do is I want to thank Luann, your family. You're here. You've supported him for 38 years. 38 years ago, this family came from Maine to Mississippi. The only thing those two states had in common was the fact that it started with the letter M, and this family here, and they stayed, and they have become part of the culture, and as you can see, he's a huge Mississippi State fan. Now, I understand between going to the games, his only other duty is to make sure that he takes care of your hair. It's become quite the common knowledge here that he is an excellent stylist, and perhaps he will be on the streets commercially, and in that regard, we also have this for you. Now, I did all that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I just want to say he really has had a great leadership impact. He's brought humor, he's brought fun, and he's brought innovation to the entire Erdek, and his charisma has basically influenced all of us, and I think that's an amazing thing to take with you. I mean, we've talked about his history, where he started from, where he's gone, his accomplishments, but truthfully, I think the thing that's going to resonate with most folks is actually his ability to create a fun, innovative environment that solves the nation's toughest problems. So with that regard, I'm about to step off the stage, but I would like to introduce a few other folks in video that are going to say their farewells. So farewells from both your colleagues and your friends, and Reed, you're going to be missed. But as you come back as an emeritus, I do need a Santa Claus for this year's Christmas tree lighting. So with that said, please, if you'd be so kind, roll the video. Reed, thank you.
Hi, Dr. Mosher, it's Donna. Congratulations on your retirement. I'm so very happy for you. I want to thank you for all the support you showed me, and what a great honor and a privilege it has been to be your secretary these last 5 years here at ITL. I know we planned on going out together, and I left you just a few months shy, but now it's your turn and it's your time. Enjoy.
Congratulations, Reed, on your retirement. Now, I must say that while I was at Burdick and at West, I had a wonderful career. But those last 5 years, when you was the boss, that was the bomb. I just want to wish you and your family the best on the future. And I take joy right now in welcoming you to the West retirement community. Remember now, meetings are held daily at Walmart and at Kroger's on Saturday nights. See ya.
Dr. Mosher has been my Emerging Leaders Group mentor for more than 3 years. He has helped me immensely in many ways to better understand ERDEC's mission and vision and how to more effectively serve and support ERDEC employees. I hope to give back to ERDEC's family by mentoring others at least half as well as he has mentored me. Happy retirement, Dr. Mosher, and thank you again for everything.
Dr. Mosher, the time has finally come. I know you're excited, but we are going to miss you so much. You've made a major impact, not just in the local community, but the state and across the nation. Want to wish you the best of luck in retirement. Definitely come back and see us. Come talk football with me. We'll miss you, but the best of luck in retirement.
Hey Reed, it's been a long time working with you. We've both grown up in this lab. We've seen it change into the place it is now. I wouldn't be the person I am today without your influence in my life. You've been a wonderful boss and just a better person. For now, I wish you all the best, and you and Luann go out there and conquer the world.
Dr. Mosher, I'm going to miss you. I'm so happy for you, and I know that you're going to enjoy retirement, getting to golf whenever you want to. You know that you're my hero, and you know why. A lot of people know why you're my hero, but that's all I'll say about that. But I hope you'll come by and visit me once you're retired. That is, if I'm still sitting at my desk, because I'm going to be right behind you. Have the best time in retirement.
It's been an honor working for you over the years when you were the division chief of the Structures Laboratory and the GSL Technical Director. You've been a mentor, an encourager, and a friend, both you and Luann. Throughout the years, you empowered us, motivated us, and helped us to move forward and to make an impact. You are a true inspiration, and your presence will be sorely missed. Farewell, sir, and best wishes.
Dr. Mosher, thank you so much for your 40 years of outstanding service to our Corps of Engineers.
Best wishes!
Creating connections.
Building IT strong!
All right, Dr. Mosher, wanted to congratulate you on your successful career here at ERDIC, how you were able to turn your vision for ITL into a reality, and we appreciate the sacrifices that you made in order to make that happen. Hope you enjoy your retirement. You have time to travel and golf and all the other things that you enjoy doing, and we wish you the best of luck.
Hey Reed, congratulations on your retirement. I'm glad to see you're getting to do that. Enjoyed the years that we got to work together on some interesting work in anti-terrorism and innovative navigation projects and embassy walls. Those were some good days. Hope you enjoy your future opportunities, and come over to see us at the Graduate Institute.
Congratulations on a very successful career of 40 years with the Corps. I've certainly enjoyed every minute of working with you. The times away remembering of you coming over, helping me build my first house when you first came to work. It's been a real privilege of working with you and seeing your great career. Congratulations, Reed.
I feel very blessed to have been Dr. Mosher's deputy for going on 6 years now. I know firsthand that he's truly a great person, and I'm sure you've seen other people talk about this throughout the video footage. When I think of Dr. Mosher, I think about a man of integrity, a man that's passionate about his job. His face lights up and he gets so excited when we talk about all of his technical jargon. He's compassionate about people and has a deep love for his family. His diverse knowledge always amazes me, and those of you who know him know exactly what I'm talking about. He knows a lot about a lot of things, and he knows a little about practically everything. He always contributes to the conversation, no matter what the subject, and he has more connections than Mark Zuckerberg. Those of you who don't know who that is, it's the founder of Facebook. He has so many connections because he has literally traveled the world during his career. You can just ask his wife, Loanne. Everything seems to happen when he's gone. The refrigerator goes out, and where is he? He's in England. The air conditioner goes out in the middle of the summer, and where is he? He's in Australia. A bird is trapped in the house, and Loanne is chasing it around literally with a broom. And where is Dr. Mosher? He's in D.C. So I know Loanne will be so happy to have him home now. Dr. Mosher and I have solved so many problems together. We've strategically planned together, we've laughed together, and yes, there's been times that we've even cried together. We talk about often how much we think alike. We talk to each other practically every day, so I'll truly miss him. He's been my boss, he's been my mentor, he's been a teacher, but most of all, most importantly, Reed, you'll always be a lifelong friend. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our host for today's ceremony, Major General Michael Weir, Deputy Commanding General, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
This is pretty amazing if you think about the legacy and what we're really doing to celebrate. Reed, it's just amazing. I'm just privileged to be here. I mean, literally, if we could package this, videotape it, and just put it on the shelf and say, this is what right looks like, the legacy you've provided. But I would say that the price of admission for all of us to be here is to carry on that legacy. So I'm going to go through a few thoughts. It's really difficult to follow all that video, all those props, tremendous speeches, but I've got a few things I can throw on the table. First of all, on behalf of Lieutenant General Semonite and Dr. Pittman, it truly is an honor to be here. The legacy that has been described and the legacy of Erdek is known by so many, but also not necessarily understood by a lot. And I will admit, when I first met Reed, it was in the barbershop. And I was wearing shorts like him. I was wearing my Tevas. He had his Keen sandals. And we're just hanging out, getting a haircut. Never got quite to the beard yet. But I said, who is this guy? Just pretty brilliant, nice to talk to. Of course, fast forward a little bit, and then I realized, hey, you know, it's really important when your own power goes out in the Mississippi Valley Division where you have no water and you need a place to work. So he opened the doors to the ITL, and it was just a home. I mean, literally. In fact, some folks in the division got a little nervous because they said, hey, how come we can't get a building like this or move on to Erdek? I mean, God forbid, don't tell anybody I said that. But the reality is, it's just a great thing to be part of. So I can't thank you enough. Again, Dr. Fleming and Colonel Green, just the chance to be able to speak with you, following you, and to stand on the stage with you all. Y'all. I've lost my accent. I'm in D.C. now. But really is acknowledging the distinguished guests I already mentioned. I do want to highlight Dr. Houston and Dr. Jeff Holland. I mean, the reality is you had a vision. I think you both get the credit for getting the money for a facility like this. And to have Reed show up, didn't just show up, but to put it together, to be handed the torch. And that's a theme I'm going to talk about. You know, the Olympics is a great example, but when someone hands you the torch and you run a good race, and there's someone you can hand it to, I mean, that is a complete life. Remember General Van Antwerp used to describe that dash, you know, between the years. The reality is you've got a phenomenal dash going on here. It's just incredible. So what I wanted to do is acknowledge, as a person in uniform of over 32 years, I've slept in Cobar Towers. I've dined in dining facilities that had no protection. And I always wondered, how can this be? What does it take? And of course, I didn't realize until getting more familiar with ERDIC the type of reach back that existed, especially when you're forward and you've got your telecommunication kit. What is it that we're tapping into in terms of the talent and expertise that exists within ERDIC? But it was truly amazing. And then, of course, to come into the Mississippi Valley Division or even in the Vicksburg District and to study and put to use a lot of the IPET results. Just an amazing thing and a legacy to be part of. And I admit I am now in the Pentagon on occasion with an office that has that green shade on the windows, and I'm going, someone is thinking. Someone is solving the world's problems as we speak. And we're all very thankful for that. So I would say a legacy is made up of loving, living, and learning. And what I want to do is just touch on each of those. I mean, there's no doubt you've demonstrated what it is to love. Loanne, with your family, Mark and Maggie, I mean, just an example of what it really can happen when you are truly supportive as you've always been. The fact is, coming from Maine, I did not realize, MA, MS, I mean, it's kind of, that's Massachusetts. Maine is what, ME? ME, okay. I've not spent a lot of time on the East Coast, but the reality is to come to Vicksburg and to be part of this legacy is pretty impressive. Now, you did indicate it was only about 2 to 3 years, I guess, for your master's. So a factor of 10 you indicated you were off of. I mean, that's just a rounding error in big data. I don't know. You can tell me about it, I guess. But again, passing on to Mark that love for Mississippi State, Mark being 31 years old and studying for his PhD in biomedical engineering, just amazing. And of course with Maggie as a chemical engineer also. What a great example you've set for others to follow. Now in terms of living, coming from Teeple, Maine, I mean literally a small population of about 350 folks, and having a logging community, and I guess that's where you started in 7th grade, working in the woods. And I was impressed to see that you actually had your large truck license all the way up until about 10 years ago. That was a backup plan in case the engineering thing didn't work out. So the bottom line is he had a torch, and he got it from his family. And if I didn't mention that, he really does indicate that his parents set that example very early on in the way they lived daily with honesty, integrity, responsibility, determination, dedication, and the value of hard work. I mean, there's no doubt Reed is all of that, and he passes that along to us. Now, with over 38 years of service, and I realize now, I didn't actually understand this until I sat in his office, this whole emeritus thing, you get another office. You don't actually have to leave here. This is like the best kept secret, I think, in the Corps of Engineers. But it's just a testimony to the value that you bring and the opportunity to continue to serve. But having reached the Senior Executive Service General Officer equivalent for the Department of Defense and as the Director of the ITL, it's an incredible opportunity and legacy. You've inspired all of us. Your passion for learning, this is the other area I'd like to highlight. Not only are you pursuing new ideas and you're solving problems, but in fact you're teaching, so you're passing it along. So as someone would say, you never really learn until you teach. And once you can do that, you truly set something in motion. So you recruited talent. You retained that talent. You focused on advanced learning, leading the team here to pursue advanced degrees. In fact, just this year with 18 members of his team pursuing masters and 5 pursuing PhDs. I mean, that's the legacy our nation depends upon. It's the leadership, and it's the passion. And of course, as mentioned with Jackson State University and of course the HBCU, the outreach, even all the way out to Puerto Rico, and of course proving what can be done with a diverse team, it is truly a strength. It can be sometimes distracting, but when you have the leadership you provide, it is truly the strength we need. So your ability to lead people, to lead change is known by all. In fact, General Semini is looking for the innovation that is often described coming out of ERDIC. There's so many things that were listed earlier about the innovations and the firsts as your leadership, but I would say our nation truly relies upon this. There is no doubt that we need innovation, and more importantly, the ability to communicate it and to make sure that people understand it's worth investing in. Now, I realize in the emeritus status, I think you're still out there for consulting, and maybe you won't charge as much as you're probably worth. But I, in fact, just the other day started asking him questions about quantum computing. I have no idea what that is. It's just my son is interested in it. He's a mechanical engineer, and luckily, Reed indicated it is an engineer problem now. It's all about thermodynamics, heat transfer, the ability to make it work. So I look forward to more discussions on that. And I truly share your passion with the future and where we invest. So in conclusion, I would just like to acknowledge one other thing that Dr. Mosher and I share. In fact, it's a favorite quote. I am equally inspired by Teddy Roosevelt, the man in the arena. So I'm going to take a moment to read this because I really do believe it represents what can happen when you acknowledge. So as it goes, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit truly belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred with dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again. Because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, great devotions, who spends himself to a worthy cause, and who at best knows in the end, the triumph of a high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails daring greatly, so that his place shall never be amongst those cold and timid souls who in fact neither knew victory nor defeat. Dr. Mosher, you have been the man in the arena for nearly 40 years. You truly know the triumph of high achievement. You've instilled great values of hard work, as your parents indicated early on, and the passion for loving, living, and in fact learning and solving problems. So as a servant leader and passing that torch to all of us, we all have an opportunity here to keep that going. That torch lights our future. Thank you, Reed, for everything. Just a round of applause for the Reed Mosher legacy. So I think we've got a number of things to recognize Dr. Mosher with, so I'm not going to interfere, Patty.
Okay.
But we are going to ask the family to join us, if you don't mind, Elaine and Mark and Maggie.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, General Ware will present the Public Service Commendation Medal to Ms. Loanne Mosher in recognition of the extraordinary support and dedication provided from January 2008 to February 2018 to the Information Technology Lab at the United States Army Corps of Engineers Research and Development Center. Your unconditional support to your husband, the Corps, and the Army is deserving of the highest praise and recognition. Thank you for making time to be involved with the many activities for the ERDIC team and community. Your delicate balance between community, professional career, and family responsibilities have provided a powerful example of the Army's core values in action, and you are a true inspiration to all. Your uncommon efforts reflect great credit upon you, the Engineer Research and Development Center, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the United States Army.
You notice we pinned the award on the castle because that's the most stable thing we got.
Loanne, Mark, and Maggie, General Ware would like to present you with the ERDIC medallion, more valuable than a Bitcoin, but don't try to sell it on eBay, in honor of your support during Reed's career. Now General Ware will present the Silver Order of the De Fleury to Dr. Reed Mosher. During Dr. Mosher's more than 38 years of service to the regiment, he exuded leadership, compassion, competence, and determination. His distinguished service resulted in the development of technologies that provide our nation's warfighters with innovative technologies which enable force protection, maneuverability, and survivability. Dr. Mosher's career of selfless service and devotion to duty brings great credit to him, the Engineer Regiment, and the United States Army. Essay Ons.
The Silver de Fleury is the second most prestigious award under the Gold de Fleury, which only one is given out a year. I would like to point out that the medallion on the backside, it is struck. This is the first medal struck by the Continental Congress. It says fortifications and marshes overcome. And if you look at Reed's career, he has definitely been a master of fortifications and a master of water and computing. So fortifications and marshes have been overcome.
At this time, Dr. Mosher is being presented the Department of the Army Decoration for Exceptional Civilian Service. For exceptional performance of duty as the Director of the Information Technology Laboratory, U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center from January 2008 through February 2018. Dr. Mosher demonstrated extraordinary leadership with unparalleled vision, compassion, competence, and determination, which led to improvements in the ITL's efficiency and culture, as well as astronomical growth in personnel, research, facilities and infrastructure, and computing resources. His initiative and selfless service in the successful execution of a broad range of decisive research, developmental, and operational programs resulted in the maturing of the ITL as the premier Department of Defense laboratory for information technology in support of military engineering and Army civil works. Dr. Mosher's tireless leadership and dedication to federal service reflect great credit upon him, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and Department of the Army. Dr. Mosher will now receive the award for outstanding service in the Senior Executive Service for demonstrating the highest levels of initiative, competence, and selfless service through the execution of programs supporting information technology for the Department of Defense. This commitment to service reflects immense honor on Dr. Mosher, the Career Senior Executive Service, and the Department of the Army. At this time, General Weir will present Dr. Mosher with a copy of the Congressional Record with a tribute honoring his more than 38 years of federal service to the nation. General Weir will now present Dr. Mosher with a signed presidential letter thanking him for his years of service. Now finally, the moment Dr. Mosher has been waiting for, his official retirement certificate and pen.
Wow.
Read it? Okay. On the occasion of your retirement, I wish to extend to you my personal thanks and the appreciation of the United States Army for the many years of service which you have given to our country. I share your pride in the contributions you have made to the Army, and I trust that you will maintain an active interest in the Army and its objectives during your retirement. You take with you my best wishes and those of your fellow employees for happiness and success in the years that lie ahead. David W. Pittman, Director of the ERDIC.
So I've heard a rumor that ERDIC developed a GPS, in these retirement things. Let's find you. There we go. All right, some of these glasses up here.
Okay, now y'all can be seated. The family can go back down and have a seat. Dr. Mosher, you'll stay up here on stage with us.
Luann, don't lose that certificate. That's the one that starts the checks.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present the man of the hour, Dr. Reed Mosher.
Thank you all for coming very much. This outpouring of friendship and honor is really overwhelming. As most of you know, I'm not a big person for a lot of words and things like that, but one of the things that I do want to say right out from the very beginning, all of these accomplishments have been talked about, things like that. They couldn't have been done without the people that I've worked with and the people that have been part of that. There are a number of those folks in the audience that have influenced my career tremendously. Robert Hall, who I shared an office with, and the quote there from Teddy Roosevelt was one that he and I had talked about, and he actually came up with, and it meant so much to me when I heard him read about it and present it. That it meant a lot to me. Wayne Jones and Betsy, Robert and Wayne and I struggle many nights working hard on things and things like that. Larry Cooley, you're here, who's influenced me a lot in my early career and things like that, very much so. Jimmy Balsera is here. Thank you for coming. Jimmy was a great mentor to me when I moved over to the Structures Lab and really helped me in my career at that time. And ERDIC directors, Dr. Whalen, Dr. Houston, Jeff, Dr. Holland, appreciate you coming, and you've had a lot of influence on my life. And then others that I've worked with, I know Pam couldn't be here, Pam Kennebrew, she's not here, and Bart, we all work together a lot on various things, and Stan and folks, David, all through our careers. These have been great opportunities to work with you all, and it's been my privilege to do that. I want to thank Joe and Judy Tom for coming to visit, really close friends of ours, both from work, but later on, all of our friendship, doing soccer together and things like that in the community. So thank you all for coming. And I have, I look out through the audience at everybody out here that I know and I have personal connections with, I appreciate. I want to especially reach out to a group of folks that have been my secretaries over the years, and I'm not sure where Flory is, but yep, Flory Hall. And I see Fanny back there too. Hey, Fanny. And Debbie, Donna, and now, and also intermittently there was Keisha. She helped out a lot in things. And Emily. They have been a great help all through my career. So, it is all of the accomplishments that people have are all built on people that help and support and do things. So, it's been very special to me. And most of all has been my family. I've missed a lot of things. Luann has been put through many late nights, things when I wasn't here, when I was away. Early on, I missed a lot of things that were important to Mark. I tried to be there as much as I could. Because of duty and need and that, I missed some of those things. And but I do, I appreciate the sacrifice they have made. Much of this sacrifice is things that I've learned from my parents. They did set a very special example for me, and I appreciate their love and care and what they've done for me. And I hope I can do half of that for my son and family. So, with that, I just want to thank you all for being here. I've had great fun, and probably the most important accomplishment that I can have is how I've potentially, hopefully, affected people in doing the right thing, doing well, enjoying their career, And the other important thing is having fun. You know, this has got to be fun too. So thank you all for coming, and I really appreciate that. Oh, and I have one other thing. Yes. Can I have one other thing? You can't have a successful career and through life without the support of your family, and especially the support of a wife who has put up a lot of things, done things that put her needs and things to aside in order to accommodate things that needed to be done. So can't be any better than that. Thank you. I love you.
In keeping with our tradition, I ask that you stand for the departure of the official party and remain standing to join us in singing the Engineer and Army songs. The words are provided on the last page of your program.
March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. And it's high, high day, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please join General Ware in congratulating the Mosher family in the collaboration area, which is upstairs, while we prepare this room for the lunching. We hope those of you can stay and join us at the lunching at 11:30. Thank you for coming. Essayons.